That's amazing. So welcome everybody. Welcome everybody. This is the session number 79 of this Mixed Notes Reading Club. I am Juan Jasso. I've been hosting the program and taking care of the schedule and things like that, maybe for the last, 2-3 months. So it's going very well. Our hope is to be able to reach 100 episodes, and we are getting close. We're this is 79, so 20 more after this, and we'll be reaching 100. That'll be a great milestone. So I'm saying this because now, for some of you, maybe you don't know yet, but we are just beginning to also have our programs available in Spotify and also Anchor website and also Apple Podcast Music. So I guess when you only hear the audios, this kind of information is valuable. So today we have Aldo Arzapalo with us. He's a very good friend of mine. We studied together for many years in Mexico, in Guadalajara. I think he's a very brilliant person and teacher and student. And he not only is very intelligent, but he has a very good heart. And I think I admire you a lot. Thank you for being here. He's doing great things in Mexico. He takes care of so many people, and he also is part of the translation group, and the Spanish translation group. He also teaches in Guadalajara once a week, and he is part of the Mexican board directors. He's one of them, so he does a lot. Thank you Aldo, for being here. So
thank you, Juan.
Yeah,
thank you for that flattering presentation.
Of course. What other thing could I say, right? What less than that? And Jacqueline is here. I'm gonna set it up as a co-host as well. Okay, so now I have to introduce her as well. I thought we were just jumping into the topic, but since Jacqueline is here, you may know her because she has been coming lately. Hello, Jacqueline.
Hola, Jackie.
Hola.
She has been participating lately a few times in the Mixed Notes Reading Club. And she is in charge of the Lightning Club. Lightning Club does many different events, online events, classes, like Dharma classes, Dharma talks, yoga classes, other things, meditation, special events for fundraising. And nowadays she is becoming again active on yoga asana teaching. I guess you're just coming back from teaching a class, right?
Yes, I ran back.
That's awesome.
I have yoga hair.
No, it looks great. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for coming. And it's great that you are teaching yoga again these days. Very cool. And she's gonna be also helping. She's gonna start getting more involved with the whole Diamond Cutter Classics and Mixed Notes Reading Club. She's gonna be helping Nick and Arina and Ben Kramer, in different computer online activities. So let's see how it goes. Thank you very much for being here. So today's topic, it's something I find very interesting, very powerful. And I think for many years, I really didn't got it. I don't know for you guys, but for me, it's every year you think now you understand. And you think no, I see clearly. Last year, I didn't understand, but this year, now I finally understand. But then next year is the same. I realized, no, I thought I knew, but I don't know. But now I know. So I guess in a way, that's a good sign because we keep learning, we keep discovering. I think it's good to have our minds open, our hearts open. And it's exciting to feel like I understand a little bit more. So today's topic again is how to use, I guess I'm paraphrasing, I'm using my own words. How to use the practice of getting what we want, or let's say how to use the practice of becoming successful in order to help the whole world. This class basically starts with Geshe Michael uses a lot this example. Like he says that many times people may say like, okay, you are teaching us how to make our dreams come true, and you are teaching us how to get the things we want. And it's basically using the 4 steps. Many of you may be familiar with the 4 steps. If not, we're gonna review them in a moment, don't worry. But basically it's by planting karmic seeds, by helping others get what we want, then by helping others to get what they want, we can plant the seeds and get what we want. So then people come and say like, but you know, that may sound a little bit selfish, because then you are only helping other people, not really because you want them to be happy, or not really because you care, like really. You're just helping them like as a business transaction. You help them because basically helping them is gonna help you. Isn't that a little bit selfish? So this is the question that brings the whole conversation we're having here. And Geshe Michael, in the recording session, I do encourage you to look at it if you haven't. You can find it at the Knowledge Base, for example, or YouTube. He takes us to some steps that we should undertake in order to don't stay on the selfishness part, but take it further, making it much more powerful and like basically a great act of kindness, not only for ourselves, but for everybody else. So here we are. And to start with, I would like to ask you guys, like, how does let's say the class or the session, by the way, this is a very short recording. It's like 15 minutes. So anytime, if any of you in the audience have the time, just give it a try. It's very, very cool. How does what was like the first reaction you may have when you read the topic or watched the class? Like, it was maybe your first reaction was like, I have heard this like thousands of times, or maybe your first reaction was like, wow, this is interesting. Or how did you take in general? What's your personal view on the subject we are talking about today? Any of you? Maybe Aldo, because you have been waiting longer. you can start.
Well, thank you, Juan. Yeah, I was thinking that as me personally, sometimes I get like caught up in some other Dharma practices and activities, and I really forget like the beauty of the simpleness and the mighty powerful practice of the 4 steps. And sometimes I get caught up in doing some other types of Dharma practices, and to be honest, I forget and I don't do like the 4 steps like precisely. And then for me it was like a big slap, like, hey, you're forgetting about like the most simple and powerful and maybe the most important practice, that is the 4 steps. And sometimes I remember a friend told me once, like, no, if you're not getting what you want or what you're dreaming or what you're planning, maybe you should do the 4 steps. And that was like for me like a big reset for me in my practice, because I try to practice and I'm doing a lot of things, but sometimes I tend to forget the most simple practice, like the 4 steps. And I think this is a beautiful practice. I remember Geshe-la saying that when he goes in his tours, he's gonna just like have like a recorder and just like answer people by playing the recorder, like do the 4 step. And that's like that's the answer to many questions, to most of the questions, really. Just like do the 4 steps. And sometimes I tend to not do the practice thoroughly because I think it's too simple, or maybe I'm doing another more important practices. But just let's do the 4 steps and get what we really want. And then I love the idea of being like a supreme manifestation of bodhicitta, your success in your life, like being a one manifestation of bodhicitta is just being a great example, and just using this system through the truth of kindness, as you said, Juan, by helping others to get what you want. And it's, I think sometimes it's so simple that I just try to do another more deeper practices than 4 steps, but 4 steps is like the basis, and it's a beautiful, powerful, amazing practice that for me it was like a wake up, you should do more 4 steps practice in your daily basis. Yeah,
Thank
that was
you,
my
Aldo.
yeah.
Thank you. I think for me, I relate a lot with what you're saying. I think it's the same for me. Like, I don't do the 4 steps as I should, and I haven't mastered that practice and at all. Like in a way, how do you say? Like, I don't have everything that I want, you know? Like, and that's a proof that I haven't, that I don't know yet how to get everything that I want. And maybe it's not that I don't know, but maybe it's that I'm not good enough at it, or that I don't give it the importance or the time. And I think this works in 2 levels, or many actually, but 2 can come to mind right now. First, get what I want, because I think it's very important. Like, I think in a way, I will say it's kind of part of like our own personal success in life, to be able to get those dreams to come true. But not only that, what I was noticing in the reading, the way that I somehow interpret it, is that once that you get what you want, if you actually got it through the 4 steps, and of course, according to this ancient wisdom, they say the only real way to get things that we want is through seeds and emptiness, right? It may seem that we got what we wanted through other means, let's say money, through work or working. But if we investigate deep, we come through this wisdom to the conclusion that that money, maybe the working was one of the conditions, but it was not the real cause. So if we really become good experts to get what we want, not only we get what we want in the first place, but now we learn to get what we want. And once we learn to get what we want, now we can teach other people to get what they want. Because like, how am I gonna teach something to someone if I don't know how to do it? And before keep going, let me welcome Rosa, that she just joined us as a panelist. It's a very, we are very glad to have you here. Very, very cool that you came.
Hola, Rosa.
Maybe
Thank
some of you
you.
already know her, but if you don't, Rosa is a very long time student. She has a lot of practice, a lot of experience. She just moved to Sedona from, well, she lived many years in New York, many years in LA. She moved to Arizona recently, and she's doing amazing things for the Diamond Cutter Press and other organizations. She's very, very skillful with, I don't know, I guess I would say making things happen in a way. So maybe you're a great person to have here, particularly in this topic of the how to use the 4 steps to, number one, get what we want, but not only that, to make our practice of getting what we want like how to say, like an act of kindness for the world. Now we were asking like, what was our first like maybe reaction once we go back to this, in a way, basic but very deep practice. And Aldo was sharing with us. Now I would like to ask Jacqueline, and then you, Rosa, as well, maybe your general view, or I guess it's like a, how you call it, summary of what you felt or got from this session.
So I think I felt similarly as Aldo. Like, I actually remembered when I hit play on the video, I remembered this teaching and I had heard it before, and it's so cute the way Geshe-la just, he makes this intricate concept of the 4 steps so applicable. And I was like, yeah, I know how to do this. But then what really hit me was it wasn't just that. It was like this really personal story of how someone could make the process of the 4 steps to be like a virus, to spread bodhicitta. And it really hit me hard, actually. I started crying because he reminded me of how much more powerful the motivation could be behind the 4 steps. And if you're thinking about how this one seed to go visit a lonely person could become like a virus and help so many people get out of suffering and get what they want instead of misunderstanding reality, they could actually stop hurting people, and we could create a harmonious world where people understand where things and people are coming from. And if that happens, there would be no war. There would be no competition. There would be perfect understanding. We would all understand each other. And wouldn't that be incredible? So yeah, Bodhichitta and the 4 steps, that was my take on it.
Great, thank you so much. Yeah, for me, to be honest, I hear this teaching many times before, but I never connected in this way. I always, to be honest, I was wondering why Geshe Michael says, like, sometimes he actually says like, okay, the technical definition of bodhicitta, yes, it is the wish to become enlightened, to be able to help everybody else, right? But then he say, but bodhicitta really is, like when you take it to the practical level, is use the 4 steps, become successful yourself, and spread the virus of knowledge or wisdom to get what you want. And I never was able to really connect. Like I was like, why, how, you know? But now I really think it really has to do with becoming successful. And yes, somebody wrote in the chat, if maybe it's not really about getting what we want, but about proving ourselves that karma and emptiness are real or true. And I think, maybe I'm wrong, but I think it's both. I think for sure it's also about getting what we want, because I'm tired of not getting what I want. And I'm tired of not being totally happy, and I'm tired of suffering myself, but also tired to see everybody else suffering. So I think if I can get what I want, it's a great step to overcome, you know, like, let's say the ideal is to remove all kind of suffering in our world. That includes our own suffering. So I think, yeah, it comes in many layers. I would like to hear, what do you think, Rosa, about the general session and this maybe particular question? You're muted, I guess.
No, I'm not muted. Oh, maybe I have. Hold on, sorry.
We can hear now. No, we can hear now.
Oh, okay, great.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me. This is fun. Yeah, I love these teaching, and I think is very, very common. Like throughout, you know, the years, somebody always asks that question. You know, it's a very, very famous question when Geshe Michael is teaching about giving, you know, like how other teachers would call it enlightened self-interest. His Holiness calls it the enlightened self-interest. And so long time ago, this is sort of how he explained it before this teaching. That's how I heard it. And that idea, to me, it makes it a little bit clearer, because what it means is that if you're not serving other people, you won't be able to get what you want. I'm sorry, my dog is, every time I talk, he's gonna do that. So in a sense, hold on. In a sense, when we talk about wanting, you know, getting what we want, and you're not exposed to this idea, let's just say that you're just, you know, a regular person who just, you know, is not familiar with these teachings, you know, you're not a spiritual person. I think those are the real challenging people that, you know, this is who I feel like it will be worth proving that these ideas are cool and that these ideas can help you, because we already have been exposed to this, and we sort of like, you know, have gone through a few, you know, we have tested it ourselves. Sorry, he's really going for it. And so I do think that in some way, when you have come to a point where you really want something, but you have tried every single other way, and sometimes you get it and sometimes you don't get it, right? Because we think that we are gonna get money by working hard, you know, and sometimes you work hard and you don't get it, and sometimes you don't work hard at all and you get it. Somebody hands you money. I think it's sort of like a process of understanding what doesn't work. Like, we've tried multiple things in the past, and we think that getting things, that there's a process to get things, and we need to and thinking that the things that you know, that we need to kind of like, how Geshe Michael calls it also roboclogging, right? Like, you have to figure out a way of you know, that things essentially come from their own side, which is, you know, what most people believe, and that at some point we believe ourselves. I'm sorry, this is, I'm gonna have to take care of this guy before I can continue. Can somebody else continue? I'm gonna put him in some other room.
Okay, yeah.
Can't control him.
No problem. Okay. So what I was thinking when I was listening to Rosa is about, yes, it's true. And I hear lately when Geshe Michael used that thing, like I don't know, he says something like the robot, like you call it robot clock. Like, yeah, we are trying to, that's what he said. Yeah, when we are trying to grasp and get things from conventional methods. Now, the weird thing that I don't fully understand yet, and another thing, Rosa, is that you were saying that we have proved the system. But for me personally, I haven't yet get everything that I want, and I struggle with many things in life. I have tested system, and sometimes I have had amazing results, like things that seems to be impossible, like miracles. But now the weird thing, I don't know if some of you may relate, even if you succeed, then you have the question, the doubt again, right? Mm. Wait. Did that really happen because I planted the seed? And of course, like, I mean, in a way, it has to be, but in another way, I think there is like these subtle doubts that I think we have to become not only successful once, but we have to become expert, like succeeding and trying the system, trying, in order to come at a certain point when we are like, our certainty is very big. And not only that, but the results that we have attained are big enough for others to start trying to, I guess, listen to us or copying, emulating us. That's how I connect the story that Geshe Michael says, okay, you want your partner, you go and use the 4 steps, you get your partner, but then what? And I think for me, what got me into like, I feel the next level of understanding during this session is true. And it's similar to what we discussed in the chat. It's not, I will say only, some people may disagree, but I will add the word only. It's not only to get what we want, but it's also to become an example on how to get what you want. And I think because this system is interesting, the system of wisdom already integrates kindness, because you have to give kindness. Like the wisdom says, you have to give kindness in order to get kindness. So the way to get good things is by doing good things. So that starts like immediately like an, how to say, upward cycle, not only for yourself, but for anybody else who tries it. So I think it's like, for me, the way that I take this whole session was, we must become a good example. Otherwise, you're not gonna be able to help anybody. Like, I don't know, I mean, it may sound sad, but in a way, it's very common. Like if I don't admire somebody, at least to a certain degree, I don't listen to the advices they give me, right? Like, it's like, or the same, it has happened to me thousands of times. I pretend to go with someone and no, don't work harder, just plant the seeds. The money doesn't come from work. And they are like, yeah, right. And you're broke all the time. So it's like, what's your take, guys, on the importance and the emphasis of really trying the system with the motivation of becoming successful and good example? What do you think, Aldo?
Well, I think it's like interwoven. How can you say, like, it's like, and then, because if you really like have wisdom and understand how reality works, then you would just like do the 4 steps every time you want something, because you really understand where things are coming from. And I think it's based like in a deeper truth, that it's based on kindness. So as I said earlier, I think being an example, it's a true manifestation of bodhicitta. And I love the story. Remember the story about the three cups of water, that this girl goes to the nursing home and she finally gets this beautiful boyfriend, and she calls his boyfriend before going with her friends, and she gives him 3 glasses of water to drink, and he's like, what's up, just drink them. And then she goes to the coffee shop with his beautiful boyfriend, and all her friends are like, wow, he's so handsome, wow, she's been single like for 10 years, wow, that's amazing. And they're all like excited. And then because of the 3 glasses of water, his boyfriend goes to the bathroom, and they're all like, wow, where did you get him? And she just tells them, I went to the nursing home. What? No, really, I went to the, and when she tells them, like, from those 5 girls, 2 of them are gonna try the system and they're gonna succeed, and then it's good, and then you're spreading the virus. And in that moment, when you get what you want, you are creating a world where no one is gonna be lonely, and when everyone just gets what they want by the kindness of giving it to someone else first. So I think it's just a beautiful, perfect, simple, powerful system. And that's like, as I said, it's a true manifestation of bodhicitta, just achieving it and being an example. And also when you try to train your mind to, when you do the 4 steps, to do it with that intention and motivation. And then if you want to go like deeper, you can talk about like the 3 aspects of raw karma. But I think it's just like, I totally agree that being a great example, it's like a true manifestation of bodhicitta. That's my take on.
So do you, Jacqueline, would you agree that, let's say, if today I want to do something kind for the world, I should, let's say, go out and test the 4 steps. Or what's your take? How do you connect these ideas with the importance of becoming successful trying the system?
Yes, I think in this context, he's pulling this teaching from kind of a more DCI type audience. And yeah, it begins with, 5 goals. And they may at first seem materialistic at first because you're trying to get things or a partner. But with this motivation, you're actually removing that tendency towards selfishness. So the motivation of being an example is very much part of the middle way. And even imagining like your whole world with you, standing behind you as you're about to do the 4 steps, as you're about to offer someone some food, some nice Gouda, and you're thinking about that, it removes that tendency towards selfishness. And just to tie in what was happening in the chat, oh, well, what if that all goes away? You're going to lose the cheese and the result of getting lots of cheese back when you die. So what's the point? But I think that the point is you're planting seeds in your mind for more wisdom when you're using that intention of like helping others and understanding where reality is coming from us. So we were actually talking about this, Rosa and Juan and I think at a brunch a couple of weekends ago. And I actually used this for the 4 steps to make more money in my career in New York. I was stuck, I had a glass ceiling, I was working in sales. People kept stealing my sales. It was really annoying. I couldn't make any, what do you call it? Couldn't make any money until I started helping each person on the sales team make a sale. And next thing I know, I made like $20,000 in a month. And it was like, to me, it was, I had to do that in order to prove, you have to prove it to yourself. And trying with money or with a partner is like an easy thing to see. And once you do that, of course, yeah, you're going to want to try to achieve more than that. If I can do this, then I can create sustainable happiness for myself and for all beings. So I don't know, I'm kind of addressing a couple different things here, but yeah, I think, did I answer the topic, Juan?
No, for sure. And I think I totally agree with you. At first, we start with basic things, like, how do you call that? The Maslow pyramid? Because I have noticed, like, if I don't have any money to pay my rent or to have food or to whatever, then I'm worried that I don't practice. Or if I need tools, like whatever, like a computer good enough to hold the gopher and the hypertext that I need to try to work in the Tibetan translation text, then I'm all stressed. But then I start getting these things like tools, like if I can use, but it's not only about getting them, again, it's also about learning how you actually got them. So it's 2 things, because yes, of course, let's say the new computer is going to help me a lot. And of course, it's up to you. How are you going to use the things that you use? Are you going to use your money to, I don't know, buy like thousands and thousands of clothes in a selfish way? Or are you going to use the money to provide, I don't know, like to help your parents to retire now that they are 65? Whatever. What I'm saying is, like, you can decide how are you going to use the things you get. And you can keep replanting seeds, right? If I got $1 million, I could sponsor Diamond Cutter Classics for like maybe, I mean, it's expensive, maybe for 6 months or something. No, just kidding. I don't know for how long, but as Jacqueline say, then what? Maybe then I can try to get a body made of light. I can get I can get a world where hunger doesn't exist. I can overcome death. My goals can also like start growing. But I'm only gonna achieve them if I know how to achieve things. So in a way, I think it's this like idea, like the better we get of getting what we want, then the better and bigger things and bigger dreams we can have, and the better we're gonna be able to teach others to also make their dreams come true. And our dreams are gonna be improving. At first it was like, yeah, I want a new car, but now my dream is like, I want, yeah, like, what is it? Body made of light that doesn't die and doesn't get afflicted ever. How do you see this thing, Rosa?
Yeah, I think the idea here, when I'm trying, when I ask myself these questions, I try to put myself in the position of somebody who is not exposed to these ideas, so that then I can really make it super strong for myself. So I'm not just, like I already kind of accepted them because I made my little test, and I figured that, yes, it worked for me. So if one experiment worked, then it must, if it works for one thing, it should work for the rest, right? That's sort of like the scientific, way of trying a system. And so in a way, when you are thinking about these ideas, is it selfish to do something because this is going to take you in, this is going to give you what you want? Is that a selfish idea? And for me, in a way, is if the person you're explaining this idea to doesn't accept the fact that number one is the only way to get it. You can't get it any other way, because things are not coming at you. They're coming from you. So the number one challenge is that because things are not coming this way, there's no other way to get it. You need to create the causes to be able to get what you want. And so, and that there's no other way of getting what you want in this system, right? So trying to convince somebody else who have no idea and who doesn't believe on this, and this person is telling you you're acting selfish. To me, that's the real challenge, is how do you explain to somebody? Because, and when I think about that, then I say, well, okay, so if I decide to be generous, or I decide to keep company to somebody, or I decide to listen to people, to give people my time because I want those things for myself, then in a way, you're already doing a kindness, whether your motivation is completely pure or your motivation is semi-pure. It's like, I want money, for example, and I go and I try to, little by little every day do acts of kindness because I know this is what is going to give me some financial stability. The person receiving the kindness is still receiving the kindness, and because karma works the way it works, if you believe in the system, you're gonna get it back. But if it's, I guess the person who's listening, who's thinking this is a selfish act, I guess it's okay to think that it's a selfish act, but you're still serving other people. So in a way, it's not selfish because you are still serving in order to. So even the argument of somebody who doesn't believe in this system, doesn't believe in the 4 steps, or doesn't believe in seeds, you can still argue that it's not a selfish act, even without having to go to this higher motivation of Bodhichitta and all of these things, which obviously are incredibly important. And once you take these path, it becomes, you go deeper and deeper, and you actually go after more meaningful things. But I do think that the foundation applies to whether you want to just have enough money for the next day, then to become an enlightened being and help all sentient beings. It works in the same way, and you're still not being selfish, even if you are thinking I'm doing it for myself. obviously the next level, if you then do it like this and you understand that this is the only way you can do it, because this is the way, you know, the nature of reality works, then you are then adding another incredible layer, because you're acting with wisdom, which in a way is a form of bodhicitta. You know, when you act with wisdom and you build, you know, you are acting, understanding that this is the only way that it can be done, then it just, I believe it adds it makes whatever you're doing, the seed that you're planting, to ripen much quicker, versus doing something with ignorance, right? Because, you know, just taking a few steps back, I grew up in a Catholic country, and I was brought up with a very good training on kindness. You know, you are trained to be kind when you're, you know, you go to church, you're generous with people, you help people, you're taught to be kind, and so you do it because you're supposed to be kind, you know, and then that's what your mother and your father taught you, and this is what, you know, you're supposed to be doing. But you don't do it because you understand that, you know, somehow what you're doing is going to plant the seeds, or is what creates your reality in the future. You just do it because of morality, right? Like, you need to be a good person, so you go ahead and you do it. But even then, as you're doing it that way, without understanding that this is a much more profound than that acting with kindness, you know, towards others, still going to plant some seeds, but it's not going to be the same kind of seed. It's going to plant it, and you're going to get some nice stuff. You're going to, you know, you're going to get some nice results, but it's not going to be the same kind of results that you get when you're conscious of this idea that this is the only way. It's not, it's just that, you know, this is what builds it. This is sort of like what creates the matrix for you, you know, to experience the next, you know, how are you going to experience the next day, you know, if you want to just, you know, take it to a faster example. So it makes things faster to understand it. And obviously having small experiments is very important, because you first need to prove it to yourself before you can prove it to others. And I think that, to me, is the most important part, is that if you don't experience it yourself, and you in your heart and in your mind really see it, you know, like you see the shift, you see the change, you see how it works, then it will be very hard to be convincing towards others. Then you just, you know, talking, you know, an idea that you heard, and it sounds like it could be interesting. I think the most important thing is to prove it to yourself, and then once you prove it to yourself, then you can be an example. And it's like that other example that Geshe Michael uses a lot. It's like, you don't go to study meditation with somebody who's like holding a cup of coffee and their hand is shaking after trying to teach you how to meditate. Like, you know, teachers teach by example more than anything else. Teachers are like, you know, like, especially with ideas like this, these are profound, you know, these are ideas that are, they in certain way completely negate how we function every day. We don't see things like that every day. You know, we really function in a completely different way, and we're trying to turn our mind, right? We're trying to turn our mind to see things in this other way, which is, you know, things are coming this way. I am creating nice people. I am creating, you know, people that take care of each other by me taking care of people.
Thank you, Rosa. It makes me think a lot. And I really agree that it's like, now I see kind of somehow like a 3-ladder step or something. Like, first we prove it to ourselves, and it's very important to prove it to ourselves. Then we want to, let's say, if we have a little concern for others, we want them to be happy. So once we prove it to ourselves, now we are like, oh my God, look what I realized. I want to share it with you because I want you to get what you want as well. But it could be the case that a lot of people maybe like, they don't listen to you, they don't believe unless they see. But not only, let's say, like, I don't know, I always wanted to have like a black book. And then I go like, oh my God, look, I got my black book. And then a lot of people are like, yeah, but the black book doesn't really impress me, you know, subconsciously. Like, if you want me to really listen to you, show me your mansion, or show me like your amazing, good shaped body, or your millions, or like, we have to also be honest, like what kind of world we live in and what kind of things are interesting for people. Like, there is this thing, like, you are not going to try to teach the 4 steps to someone who's starving, right? First, you help them with food. Once that they can stop that intense need or desire, you can teach them how to get the food. But sometimes we have to act quickly. Sometimes we have to give people what they need right away. And maybe that's, they just want a, I don't know, a peaceful family environment, or they want to be healthy because they are going through a very important sickness. So I guess in a way it's also important to achieve. It's not that, it's like the goals, I think they build on each other. So in that sense, it will be like, first we prove it to ourselves, then we make sure we are good examples, like we are able to pull the attention of other people by our own success and happiness. I guess being happy is one really great thing. Just when somebody's really happy, people are more open to listen to you. Instead, like when you are all grumpy and trying to tell others how to behave and stuff, I don't think that works very much. And then they are going to be open, and we can teach them or share with them how to get those things. So in that sense, I really like what you say, Rosa, about the importance, the really importance of, we have to first, let's prove it to ourselves. I would like to encourage also in the audience, if anybody wants to ask things in the chat. And somebody read, I would like to ask this one to Aldo. Somebody wrote there like, okay, they agree that we have to be good examples in order for people to be open to try the system, because we succeed, now they're gonna listen, they're gonna try. But they say, but don't the people we encounter start to change if we change? So what do you think, Aldo? People are gonna change because they learn the 4 steps, or people are gonna change because we learn the 4 steps? What's your take on this?
Both. Yeah, if you go deeper, and if it's true that the world and everyone around it, it's coming from your seeds. So when your seeds start to change, people start to change. So I think it's a two-way go.
Yeah, I think this is a really deep question, because I will also take, what if I take the position like it's not possible to plant seeds for anybody else? The only way that people can change is if they do the work for themselves. Like that could be one way of taking it. But it's tricky because it's totally true. Like even the Abhidharma lines, they say like this world and every other world come from our seeds, right?
And I think in a way you can also be like, maybe how can you put it, like the mailman for some people. So maybe if they're open, and you can be just like the mailman that's delivering their own karma, but that karma of this teaching that can really help them. So I think it's like two-way, but in the same sense as you are like doing a good practice and changing your seeds in your mind, then the people around you are gonna start to change. They must change,
I guess,
because they're coming. If it's true they're coming from your seeds, then they must change.
But okay, I'll ask, anybody can answer. What if people are coming from your seeds, but they are coming from your seeds as independent people who cannot be affected by your karma? What about that? No, because I think there is something, I don't know yet, but I think there is like a few difference between what mind only will say and middle way will say. And I think maybe there is a difference, because middle way, I remember one class with Ben Kramer, we saw that only the lowest school Abhidharma and the highest Madhyamika Prasangika are the only schools who accepts outer objects. That doesn't mean they are self-existent. That doesn't mean they are not coming from your seat, but outer objects. And I always have this question, because it's like the super famous question. When you get enlightened, everybody gets enlightened at the same time? What do you think? It's like, this is an endless debate, I guess.
Okay, if I may.
Please.
So this, so this is another one of those big questions that you always hear. And the only answer that I keep hearing from Geshe Michael, at least, is that yes, you can only change your perception of other people. So for example, if you live in a city that is extremely aggressive and then you only hear really aggressive things and you're sick of it, and you decide that you're going to use this system to change the city that you live in of 10 million people, and you decide that you're going to be the one that's going to change it, and you decide to act in a way that you are, you're going to use beautiful, speech, you're gonna watch, your device's speech, or you're really gonna make a very good effort to watch what you say. And then all of a sudden, if you're doing this well and you're doing it consistently, you see that the place that you live in, the city that you live in, that has the reputation of being the most aggressive city in the planet, all of a sudden becomes very pleasant. So did the people in the city change, or did you change them? But I think the idea is that you change your perception of it, your experience of it. Did the city change? Probably not. I mean, I have friends that they were still complaining about the same thing, but it's how I was experiencing the people that I was interacting, and in people interacting every day in the office or in the train or whatever. And I think that in my experience, you can change what you experience only. And so you're not necessarily changing the people, it's how you experiencing the people that you're interacting with. And that same thing goes to hearing something. Like, you can hear somebody say something, and for you it wasn't offensive, but for somebody else it was. So what is that about? And I think that what it is that whether you have the seats or not to experience it in certain way, it's the same idea as the pen, the same exact thing. It's one object for humans, another object for another species. So it's the same concept. It's a pen, or is it a chew toy? It's neither, and it's both. It depends who's perceiving it. So for me, that same idea explains this whole thing about what happens when you get enlightened. When you get enlightened, you're gonna see us probably perfectly, because you have the seats to see everyone beautifully and perfect. But at the same time, supposedly Buddhas can actually read people's minds and see what they're seeing of themselves. So this is how they know what they're suffering. They see us suffering because they see how we see ourselves suffering, not because they see suffering, if I can explain myself. So I don't know, that's kind of like my take on it. I don't want to take too much time.
No, thank you, Rosa. Thank you. I think that's it adds a lot to think about regards this. There is another question. Maybe Jacqueline, you can give it a try if you feel like. It says, let's suppose somebody says they plant the seeds and then they get what they wanted, but not 100% as they wanted. And this caused them like doubt how to work with this. How will be your take on this?
In my personal practice of the 4 steps, I also have a strong purification practice, because sometimes old negative seeds can block the good ones. And I've heard a story of it's kind of like seeing the airplanes on the runway before they take off. And you have like these negative seeds are in front of the positive ones that you want. And so the purification practice, I think, is helpful to remove obstacles. And I don't know if, how can I get more specific? Like, say, I'll just be really personal about this. So say I want to have a really beautiful, loving partnership, but I have this obstacle of constantly feeling abandoned. And so I need to purify this abandonment feeling. I actually recently just fostered a dog. I rescued him from puppy prison and dedicated it towards this idea of feeling secure in a relationship. And so there's the purification if you're not getting exactly what you want. And for me, I would also get super, super, super clear on what I want. I used to write out qualities of a partner that I want with my karmic partner. We used to sit in the park in Williamsburg and we called it our manifesting list. And we would write down exactly what we wanted, like this partner to be like what kind of qualities they had. And then we would actually try to embody those qualities ourselves. So yeah, it's fun. It's so fun. It's such a fun practice. And then, so if there's doubt, that's like a third thing. If you're having doubt about karma and emptiness, that's super honest and not to be ignored. And it's something that you would have to prove to yourself. Maybe try something more simple rather than a partner. It's like, I feel like maybe not for everyone, but for some people, maybe money is easy.
Can you hear Jacqueline or not?
We lost you, Jacqueline.
Yeah.
Smile. You don't have any money. And you're seeing unhappy people. Practice giving smiles and create more smiles in your world. Like start small. Like Master Shantideva says, start small. And then sometimes I'll end there.
Cool.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Why don't somebody else answer?
Yeah, if anybody wants to add anything,
I would also suggest as to make it as well personal to try to be more mindful and to focus more on the practice of rejoicing, because for me, and I've heard in many Dharma practitioners, we kind of struggle with the rejoicing part. And I think it's an art. Rejoicing, it's like it should be an art. And I would recommend to, like, maybe, I don't know, every night put like a nice song for 5 minutes and try to like rejoice and connect deeply with the emotion, or do like some tricks and really be very mindful of having a good, solid, powerful, like happy, rejoicing practice. Because sometimes in my personal experience, I think the seeds don't end up like booming, like exploding, because the rejoicing, it's like a bit not that strong. So I would recommend focusing on the Tartuk, the rejoicing part.
Yeah, yeah, and I think many times we are not aware of little habits or little, like, how do you call it? Like low radiation, sometimes they call like low radiation things we are doing that are either preventing certain small qualities as I don't know, let's say like I want to plant food. I want to plant food. So I start giving food to others, but then I get food, but I don't got the food that I wanted. And maybe that's a subtle different seed. Like I also now have to not only get food, but make sure that I give things that people actually want. Let's say it's just an example, but we start working in also like the details. No, Geshe Michael teach this as like, you want a car, you want the whole car, you decide the brand, the color and stuff, but then you go to details. Mm-hmm. Any other last idea in regards to this, Rosa, or not? We are basically finishing, but one last thing.
I agree with Aldo. I think rejoicing is a huge aspect of getting this to work. And it's really, really hard for us to rejoice because we're not used to it. We, I mean, most of us who weren't born in the Buddhist practice, rejoicing is not quite something that you do. I mean, you're happy about others, but not in this sort of like a specific, practice. And I think it's really, really hard to recognize all of the good stuff that we do every single day, because in some way, shape, or form, we're taught that that's kind of like egocentric, but it's not. It's actually an amazing practice, and it really, really helps to put, to make those seeds a lot more powerful and to ripen a lot more faster. That, and I believe motivation. Having a clear motivation, I think the sort of like the beginning and the end of these two, almost like planting your seeds, you have to have those two very, very solid, your motivation and rejoicing in that practice. Yeah.
Thank you all of you for being here, for sharing, for taking the time. Really, it's amazing. Like many times I get nervous or something, but once that it's happening, I have a lot of fun. So it's great. It's great meeting with you, talking about these things. And I will just like to close with two things. First, really encouraging you, everybody, to try the system. Let's try the system, because I'm saying this thing to myself. I have to test more the 4 steps. I have to try it more and realize, like, if we don't try it, we're gonna be missing like big opportunity. And if we do try it and if we succeed, we're gonna have like a great chance to help other people as well, to be happier in a conventional sense, because we're gonna enjoy those things that we always wanted, and then we're gonna see other people doing the same. So let's really try it. Let's really try it in our hearts. Let's really say, like, okay, today or tomorrow I'm gonna do at least one experiment and see what happens. But as Aldo say, and Rosa, the challenging part is going to be rejoicing. If we could rejoice for like 5 days in a row about the same thing, at least 5 days, I think that'll be very, very cool. And next session, I'll ask if anybody was able to succeed. And finally, I will say, if you want to support this project, not only this, but the whole translation, I'm sending the link, because we really do benefit from the donations that you can give to support this program. Not this, but the whole thing, And yeah, remember, we are now in Spotify. If you're driving and you want to listen, you can. We are in Apple podcasting and Anchor. So thank you so much. Thank you so much. We'll see next week.
Thank you, Juan. And rejoice about all the amazing things you're doing with the Mixed Nuts Reading Club. It's always very fun and a treat. Thank you, Jackie and Rosa. Thank you, everyone.
Juan.
We'll see soon.
Thanks, everyone.
Hey, let's make our dreams come true.
Yes.
Yay.
Yeah.